And seeking a job is the right of every adult citizen. However, the National Service Act bars graduates from being engaged without offering their national service. While some saw this as a flaw and called for a review, Godfred Tanam finds out whether one's inability to do national service can affect his or her political appointment.
The National Service Scheme was instituted in 1973. It was promulgated into an act in 1980 to legally bind personnel to mandatorily offer their service to the nation. Section 7 of the Act states that a person who has not commenced and completed his or her period of national service shall not obtain employment outside the scheme or be employed by any other person outside the scheme or be engaged in any employment outside the scheme, whether self-employed or otherwise, without the prior permission in writing from the board. Then Minister Designate for Gender, Women and Children Affairs, Otiko Afisa-Jaba, and that of Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts, Katrina Feku, confirmed to the appointment committee they did not offer their national service after their tertiary education. Both of them said they were not in the country. One question that ranks in the minds of many is whether the National Service Act affects political appointments.
If you look at the provisions regarding qualifications of a parliamentarian, you see that there is no provision for national service. And so if you look at the Constitution stricto sensu, you see that any person who wants to become a parliamentarian does not need to have a national service certificate.
Clara Kasati, another Gimpa law lecturer, disagrees and states the National Service Act is also legally binding and must be obeyed.
If we are making the argument that anybody who qualifies to be an MP is exempted from national service, that is the only time we can make the argument that then if you qualify to be appointed a minister, you don't need to do national service. If we are not willing to accept that kind of conclusion, what it would mean is that we are more or less being capricious with the law. We are using one criteria for one group of people and then another criteria for another group of people.
The Act also gives the opportunity for individuals to ask for waivers if they are unable to do their service. But who grants the waiver, as currently there's no board to consider it?
Unless there was a constitutional instrument that allowed somebody else to take that decision on behalf of the board, we have to wait for the board to be put in place to take certain decisions.
The waiver, according to the Act, does not attract charges and time limits depend on the board.